Alright, welcome back to the Yard. I'm Luke. This week, once again, I'm back hosting the show. And today, I'm talking with the illustrious Danny Dreamer of ECW fame. And, of course, went on to do NAW and many other things. NLW, of course. Yeah, me and him always got on well, but we kind of became better friends after quote-unquote BYW ended. And so, yeah, it was good to catch up with him and talk to him for a bit, but also just to, again, delve into his past of wrestling and so on, as you will hear in the following interview. And there's a little bonus bit at the end, just some extra stuff, so just stay tuned after the initial interview / conversation, and yeah, enjoy. Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad. You?
Yeah, good, man.
Good, mate, good.
Finally sorted it out.
Yes, mate, yeah. So who did you get yesterday? Who did you manage to do?
GBH.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
Awesome. How did that go?
Really good, actually, yeah. I mean, we did it real last minute, and so I didn't prepare anything to ask him, but yeah, it went really smooth. It's good.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. No. He's what's it called? He's doing a lot of like art stuff at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of like his illustrator stuff. It's really cool. It's really cool.
I think I put him on a bit of a kick now. He said he just watched like an hour's worth of comps.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I was actually just watching a few now. Actually, just trying to kind of get back into the swing of things. So, just kind of watching. I think you did the Botchamania videos, didn't you?
Oh yeah, God, it's a while ago.
Yeah, so I was watching a couple of those. It were pretty cool.
Well, I got a load of stuff written down here. I'll probably just go from the beginning, I guess. That's
yeah,
cool.
Sure. Yeah,
that's what I've been doing with the other guys so far. What was your first? When did you first discover wrestling, if you can remember?
Ah, man, I don't know. I think it's so hard to think. I mean, I remember watching like ITV one day and seeing they had like this kind of this pay-per-view. I think it was Sting and Luger or something at the time. Possibly even before that. But I think as a kid, I remember kind of seeing that stuff on the TV. And then my granddad used to watch World of Sport. Like, and my mum always used to talk about my granddad watching World of Sport and all this kind of stuff. So it goes back a long way. But I think the first vivid memory I've got is that it was around about like 96 or something, or, something like that, 95, 96. And this is when I first kind of really took an interest. And it was when Austin and Michaels were feuding in the lead up to kind of WrestleMania. I can't remember what they were doing or something. It was a big lead up. They were a tag team or something, and they were breaking up or whatever. And I had these old kind of Silvervision WrestleMania tapes that I'd got when I was younger, and they were the kind of WrestleMania tapes with like the blue strip on the top. I don't know if you ever saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had crap loads of those, and I remember just it sparking something, and I went and watched the whole of WrestleMania from 1 to whatever it was at the time, and that was it. I just kind of got hooked on guys like DiBiase, Jake the Snake, I think. And the thing that got me was I never liked the top guys. Like, I never liked Hogan. I never liked Savage, or, in retrospect, looking back, Savage was insane. But, like, I think the guys that got me were just the guys that were the mid-card workers, because I like to buy into it. You know what I mean? You know when you kind of watch something and you suspend your disbelief and you just think, I want to buy into this. And guys like Roberts, I believed 100% that he kind of, that was his life. He was a pro wrestler, and at the end of the day, he'd go home and that was it, So, he'd wrestle, he'd, get paid or whatever and whatever. And the guys like Hogan, I never kind of respected because they were kind of too cartoony in a way, because, too much it was too fake, And I like the guys that kind of brought that bit of realism to it. So, yeah, I don't know, really. I mean, it was just a kind of amalgamation of things. But I think by the time kind of 98 rolled around and, Austin and Michaels were kind of going at it again at WrestleMania, I think I was pretty much hooked by that point.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think I really remember like the first time or anything, but just roughly an era, what was going on, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. There is no kind of, and then I think by that time we were fully in the Monday Night War kind of thing, and I was flitching. It used to be on Sky Sports 1 on Fridays, Raw, and you'd flick between that and TNT, because they had like Nitro on and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of hit it right at the right time, really.
Awesome. And when did you start wrestling yourself? Obviously, you probably, like all of us, have done the, messing around in the living room and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was that. I mean, but me and Costa, basically, Costa was, we did it in Costa's backyard with a guy called James Lowing from school and this other guy, my brother and whatever. And we used to just have these kind of four-way, just kind of hour and a half long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Epics where you just hit each other and everyone would kick out at two, and like just kind of really really scrappy. Awful kind of like I'm hitting DDTs on everyone. Costa's first gimmick was like a guy called Titan, so he was like choke slamming people. And, it was pretty bad, mate. It was pretty bad.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, that's it.
When did it go further then?
Well, I think the first. I mean, I think it's down to Selby. I think
When did you meet him?
Yeah, well, I got in touch with him because I mean, when you're browsing the forums, sort of back in the day, we kind of, I used to look on the BYW link, which was like an old kind of US website. So there was a lot of guys on there, like Lee Andrews, I think, was even on there at one point, and there was like Anarchy Andy or someone, if I remember rightly. He used to do flips and stuff, and I think FXW and Peach used to post a lot of like UK media on there. So I think through that, and SWA, I think Rizzo's fed. So we kind of, I kind of was just browsing around, found this link for the UK forum, and got on there, and there was this fed called EMBW on there, and there were Danny Yarko and Adam Yarko and this guy called like Dark Star Chris Selby, something. So yeah, back then it was less comps and more clips. So, and I think most guys on the forum back then, I mean, used to just post like pictures of their matches. So they'd kind of write a write up of the event, but they'd also put in like a few pictures that just that was the level of media. And I think from there I kind of saw MBW were the only ones that used to put clips up. So they used to put up these clips. I mean, everyone's seen them now, the Shooting Star Press, the Orange Crush, from off the crates, through this thing, and a lot of stuff. So I used to kind of follow them on their website because for the back then they had a pretty good website, roster page and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought one day, right, I'm gonna message Dan Selby and just see what just see if we can meet up. So I messaged him. He told me where he was, and I went up there with James Lowing and Costa. We went up for an event, ECW Enter Sandman 2002. And we did like a kind of run-in. We were a fed called WWA at the time. We used to wrestle on my estate, the Wood Lodge estate. We did this run-in thing, and then I won the cruiserweight title, I think, on my first event. I think, yeah, they kind of Dan was like, mate, we're gonna make you a star, man, like that kind of stuff. So I won the title, the cruiserweight title, and then we just started coming whenever they had another event. I think the next one was Man in a Box. We went along to there, and that's the first time I met Jimmy Birch. Birch came along to that one, and we kind of me and Birch had a match as well. But yeah, it just kind of took off from there. I kind of met Dan, and we kind of then the seeds of ECW were kind of formed, I think.
Cool. How far away was it to go to ECW?
Just a train ride, really. I mean, the second event, Short Round came along, so Ollie came along, and he drove. I mean, he's 17-year-old, and he was driving at that time. So we kind of we headed up to the second one in his car, but the first time we headed up by train, and so we came and met us from the train station. We walked back, and it was kind of, I mean, like, you must know how it is, you kind of meeting these guys for the first time, and it's the same kind of thing at interfeds, when you kind of, there's that mystique, isn't there? There's that aura, there's that kind of, there's that anticipation. You got the butterflies in your belly, and you're kind of a little bit, I hope these guys think I'm good. I hope I don't suck, and I hope that kind of we go there and it's, it's good, and obviously, you also know you've only ever talked to these guys over the internet, you've only ever met them kind of online, so you don't really know too much. But it was, it's great, really good, really good.
Cool. It's funny you should mention the write-ups with the pictures.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Slape earlier today.
Okay.
And he found this old link to NLW Mind Games 2002, a webpage that was still online.
Wow.
And still had pictures on it. And it had
awesome.
Awesome. It was really funny.
No, it is. I mean, I think I even I think when because we did an interview a couple of years back or a year back or something, where it was like it was on that WordPress, the UKBYW WordPress thing, which I thought was pretty cool. But there was a link to the BYW network or something on there, and just reading some of the reviews and the rankings at the time, it kind of throws you back, because you kind of forget that the forum was a buzzing place at one point. There was not one day where I would not go onto the forum, or at least spend out, like 3 hours or something, or even, maybe even more on there, just kind of sometimes not even posting anything. You just kind of read, and it's just a hive of activity. I think.
Yeah, man.
It's really good.
Well, how did you find? Well, you said that you found the forum through the link.
Yeah.
But how
Yeah.
did you? When did you become aware of like the term backyard wrestling? Because it's interesting to me. My dad actually introduced me to it. Believe it or
Oh,
not.
really?
Yeah, he'd found
Oh.
this. You've probably seen the old Best of Backyard Wrestling Volume 1
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Have a look at this. This is backyard wrestling."
Yeah. Well, I remember that came out it came out a little bit after me, like we had all started,
Yeah.
But I think the first kind of term I heard backyard was, I think, when, because obviously the BYW link was the backyard wrestling link. So I think, yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I just think we kind of, you just want
found
to be
it.
cool. Yeah, you just want to be cool. So we called it backyard wrestling because that's what the Americans called it, Yeah, I don't know.
So what was it like going to ECW then, as opposed to where you were wrestling, on your own?
Also,
fed?
I mean, well, the first thing that we noted, they had a ring base set up in the back of Ozzy's garden.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah,
The
so
comps
that
and
this
stuff.
blue kind of tarpaulin on top of these tyres, on top of this, they had wood on top of the tyres, and for us, that was absolutely mental. You know what I mean? That was fantastic, because I mean, we were ground bumpers at the time. Awful, I think, at the time, but we used to bump on the grass. So to go to somewhere where, I think you could probably take a little bit more risks. And I think when you go from somewhere like, and I think that's what kind of made ECW a bit different when we went to big events that had rings, or kind of, NMW or YWF or something like that. Because where you used to bumping on ground, as soon as you get on something that doesn't hurt like shit when you bump on it, you kind of go a bit all out. So I think when we first went there to ECW and they had the ring base, it was really good for us. I think, especially Costa. Costa loved it. He was kind of jumping about all over the place, head and necking, and, it was brilliant. And I think, it was just, for us, it was like, right, this is the next step up, and of course, like at the time, I mean, they captured media. So, we didn't quite believe it. I know I didn't at the time, that they were going to make a comp or make a video or something like that. I think because we'd never kind of been used to it. We heard about capture cards and all that kind of stuff. But I think when we first saw the comp and there was a bit of music to it, and it was insane, really good. I think, and that kind of spurs you on to do more. So.
Yeah, definitely. What was the first big interfed you went to?
I'm not sure, actually. I think the first one. I think the first big one, which I think was YWF, ECW YWF.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I actually lost a like a retirement match or something like that. I think to Short Round. But I mean, because the first day I wrestled Zero and Costa. So Zero Mentality is a guy from FXW, and I'd kind of got a reputation for being a little bit hardcore, and this guy was absolutely mental. He's really insane. And we did this spot where we kind of, I don't know if you've ever been to John Cameron's place. He had this big, used to have this big, he lived in like a 50-bedroom house or something, I mean, ask Ads or anyone, because I think me, Ads and Naylor all stayed in one room, and there was like, it was like the size of my house. It was huge. And he had this barn, which is where the ring was set up next to, and me and Zero went to the top of the barn and did this like Russian leg sweep off the top through like a flaming table, which Pac was actually like holding the flame to. He had the bottle of lighter fluid that he was pouring the flames on or whatever. So I think, so that it was insane. It was absolutely insane. Just that kind of atmosphere, and I think that was kind of birth of it, because I think at the end of the second day, everyone stood in the ring. The sun was going down. Everyone was a bit. Everyone had a few drinks and whatever. And that YWF chant started, and I think you can see it on the comp. At the end of the day, and it was just, I think that was it. And I think more and more then started happening. I think NLW started doing a few, and we had Mind Games, etc. and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was insane. Really cool.
Speaking of like those big like the high spots and stuff, like well, I'm talking about the roof bump you did.
Yeah.
The famous one through the how many tables it was.
Yeah.
What was the
I don't know,
the process behind that? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it was because the story behind that is that we were supposed to have Channel 4 come down, They were
All
supposed
right.
to, yeah, they were supposed to come and film the event. So we kind of got all hyped up, all stay around Dave's the night before. We had Selby and Oz down, so it was a really big deal. I don't think they were part of, our kind of thing at that time because it was still an SCBW event,
Oh,
South
okay.
and Backyard Wrestling. So they were kind of guests and whatnot. And I think we just had a bit of a weekend of it. And I think the first day was on a Friday, bizarrely enough, or whatever. I think we were off. I think it was like summer holidays or something in August. Well, no, it can't have been, but I think it was a half term or something. And they all came down, and yes, Channel 4 was supposed to be there. So we were expecting this camera crew to turn up, these guys with cameras, and this guy with a notepad turns up saying he's from like Firecracker TV, and he's doing a documentary that he might pitch to Channel 4 or something, and can we just watch the event and take a few notes? So yeah, I was pretty bummed, but like I kind of built it up. I was going to do this. I was going to do this thing. And yeah, so it got to the day, and I was kind of, Costa was like, mate, you don't have to do it. It's all right. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it. And I was like, I've got to do it. So I made sure I had Matt Mollison, who's Dave's mate, up the top. He had a camera up top. I think Ollie was in front of the camera actually. I think someone was filming from the bottom. And I made sure I told them, get down on one knee, so when you're filming, it looks even higher, kind of thing. But yeah, no, we just kind of, the reason I did it was because I thought Channel 4 were going to be there, and they didn't turn up, and I just did it anyway, Yeah, it's pretty insane.
What was it constructed of? Because it looked like there's more than just the tables there.
Yeah, so there were these cardboard boxes on the bottom,
Yeah.
just to give it a little bit more height, because I just kind of thought, well, just to kind of, let's try and reach as high as we can, so the fall isn't enough, and like it kind of breaks the fall from as high as we can.
Yeah.
It's just cardboard boxes, and then a few tables, on top. So I just trying to, because what I didn't want to do was foot it. That was my worst fear.
Yeah.
This big build up. So I made sure that I kind of went off kind of Foley-esque, sideways. I wasn't going to do a front flip. Because I actually did one. We did an event, which was our own Mind Games, a WWA event. Mind Games was one of the first tapes that Selby saw of our Fed, and I did this. We had this electricity box on the estate where we used to wrestle, and I kind of got whipped off of that. Costa threw me off, and I proper kind of swantoned it. You know what I mean, like that kind of frontward flip, and winded myself because I didn't see the ground coming. So I kind of I lay there for about 5 minutes gasping for air. So I just thought, no, there's no way. I'm just going to do a Foley side bump, I think, and just try and not to win myself. But I think the momentum of it, as soon as I hit, I kind of almost didn't throw up, but I think I just I don't know, something happened, but it was it's pretty insane.
Did it hurt?
Not really. I mean, it just, I think, I don't think we planned it, but I just think having those boxes there and just having the kind of the way that we stacked the tables, just kind of there was a bit of an impact, but like I think it broke the fall really well, and I think I kind of I think it probably would have hurt worse had I kind of not taken it so well. If I kind of footed it or whatever, I think it would have hurt more. But I don't really remember it at all. But every time we go around it to Dave's, he's like, mate, I can't believe you did it. Because it's still pretty high, man. It's still pretty high. I wouldn't do it now. There's no way. There's no way.
Was there any hesitation just before you went over the lip? I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah. It's Costa's favourite story. I was up there for like half an hour or something. He's punching me like in the head, and I think in the end he just kind of gives that. He gives me the like, and what he always says is that like I always took the bump off the worst punch, because like, he was giving me these proper, he was doing the whole kind of rock thing and like boom and like stomping and all that kind of stuff and giving me these big punches to make it look good. And I was pushing it. I was like, no, there's no way. I'm not going. And then he gives me this really weak, I'm like, right, just do it now. And he gives me this really weak, or what he thinks is really weak-ass punch. And then I took the bump off that. So I think he was a bit pissed that, the punch looked shit. So,
Well, I think that's one of the most iconic clips, I think, whenever I think of UKBYW.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that was half the reason as well, is that, you just wanted to kind of, at that time, where it was just taking off. I think the forum was starting to be big, and there were so many kind of feds sort of vying to make a name. I think, I wanted to do something to put us on the map, because I kind of, me and Costa created the Fed, SCBW. We really wanted to kind of just be a big name, so you wanted to do stuff that kind of made people talk about you or look forward to your next bit of media or whatnot. So yeah, it was partly that as well.
Cool. So when you started, like, around this time, was hardcore wrestling mainly your thing?
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely, yeah.
if it is, then what was kind of your pro like inspirations at that time, like the
I
people who
think
you watched and
Yeah, I think uh, I loved, for me it was the thing I loved about hardcore, and I think the thing that kind of got misinterpreted or has been misinterpreted, I think, is that you can tell such a good fucking story, through I mean, you can do it through technical wrestling, and you can do it. It's a different story, I think, for me. But at the time, I loved these kind of mano a mano battles that were kind of this not necessarily heroes and villains, because I never really liked that. I never really liked the good guy and the bad guy stuff. I liked the stuff that it was two competitors. It was a certain style, and whether it was hardcore, whether it was technical, or whatever. But hardcore, especially at that time, was just that it was this battle between two guys that you know yeah, I don't know. It was a story, and so I think whenever I watched Jake Roberts, I always believed in him. I always believed in his matches because he had those matches with Rick Martel even at WrestleMania, where he was kind of blindfolded, and that was a cracking match, and it should have been a shocker. You know what I mean? Two guys wrestling blindfolded. It should have been a shocker, but it wasn't. It was awesome. And I think kind of moving into the hardcore kind of area, I mean, ECW was huge at the time. Really, really liked ECW. Really, really loved what they were doing at the time. I think Tommy Dreamer for me was a big guy. Hence the name. I think just because I believed in him. Every time I looked at him, he wasn't the best wrestler. He wasn't kind of the most technical guy. I liked Raven at that time as well, because I think they were just throwbacks. Because I like to watch a lot of kind of old style wrestling, you know what I mean? Like a lot kind of where it might be a little bit kick punch and whatever, but everything is for a reason, you know what I mean? And I think back then, they were they were kind of told to go out with a story, this is where you need to get to, this is the finish, or this is the end, and you play off the crowd and play off the emotions. And I think that was such a big kind of buzz, because it was almost it's like physical acting, isn't it? It's like physical stage work, and those guys that go out. I mean, Flair, obviously, huge influence. I think Flair was back in the day was amazing, and then I think from there, after that, I started taking an interest in the technical side of it, and I think that's where I started really getting interested in guys like Bret Hart, Steamboat, because those guys could work and make you believe, but just. I mean, just amazing. I mean, Bret Hart, greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of similar to you in that way, that what really caught my attention, I mean, I love wrestling, I thought it was great, got into it and stuff. But when I saw Foley and Triple H, the street fight.
Yeah. What was it? Rumble, was it?
Yeah. And it just I watched it, and then I watched it again. Like, I was just captivated by what they did with all, and we've got hardcore stuff, barbed wire and thumbtacks, but yeah, there was something to it that I just loved.
It's just that, right? I mean, I watched that again the other day, actually. Funny enough, because I got the old network.
Oh yeah.
I watched that. It was it's pretty insane. I mean, the thing that you kind of notice now is that you notice the whole barbed wire switch. They kind of,
I remember reading Triple H regretted that one.
Yeah, and I kind of you see that, and this spool of barbed wire that's like completely ripped up goes under the announce desk and comes out completely.
Pristine.
New, like it's the same one. But I didn't notice that at the time, and I think for me that was huge as well. And I kind of missed Foley out, but Foley was massive. Like, I think Mankind, I think was a huge character back in the day when I was watching it. I think his matches, I think with Helmsley, I think at SummerSlam, when he did the Dude Love thing and jumped off the cage. I think that Three Faces of Foley thing had just come out, and he was pretty big at the time. And man, that he kind of epitomized, that kind of, you don't have to be a great wrestler, but if you can act and tell a story through the medium of kind of your body, or this kind of this thing, you can create emotion in people. You can emote something through physical this physical acting, and I think that was Foley was the best, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed on that one. And again, later on I got into the more technical side of it again, guys like Bret and Mr. Perfect, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, those guys can't be touched. I mean, the way Bret throws a punch and a kick, and it comes grazes the guy's head, but looks devastating as fuck. You know, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Who were your favourite backyarders at the time, or guys that you like to watch?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the first time I met Pac was pretty insane. I mean, that was my third event that I wrestled with Selby, and we came down because I think THD was supposed to be there. So the hardcore division, you know, Ads and Naylor, they were supposed to be there, and you know, obviously I'd seen their comps and I thought they were quite good. They used to wrestle on these big green mat things at the time. And I was looking forward to meeting them, you know, Psycho Kid and whatever. And there was this guy there called Ben. You know, it's like, how you doing? You know, he had this blonde hair, and Rizzo was there as well from SWA. So I think they'd come down together, and they did this tag with Selby and Yarko. And man, blown away. First time I saw him, I was just like, man, this is insane, like absolutely insane. And I had to follow him. You know what I mean? I had this scrappy, hardcore kind of shitfest with Oz I threw him for I hip tossed him through a snooker table or something, you know. And there's Pac like just, you know, out bumping all of us like completely, you know. So I think absolutely him was one. I think Farrell as well. I really respected Farrell. I mean, because Farrell was awful. If you look back at some of the first, you know, kind of FXW stuff, or even Northern Britfest, you know, like '02 or something like that, you know, like he was awful, but I loved watching him. You know, I don't know what it was. I think, and that I kind of tried to take a bit of character work from him, because I think, I don't know what it was. I really wanted to watch what he was doing. You know, whether it was a promo, whether it was, because he was crazy. You know, he was genuinely like he worked his gimmick. He lived it. You know, he was the Nature Boy Steve Farrell, and I think he probably still is today. I haven't spoken to him for a little while, but I think every time he had a match, I wanted to watch it, you know. So I think, yeah, he was cool. And obviously Dan, you know, Selby, absolutely insane. You know, I wanted to bump like him. I wanted to kind of lock up like him. I wanted to throw a punch the same as him. So he was, yeah, absolutely. I think those three kind of, you know, Pac was the benchmark for me. I always wanted to be as good as him. Selby was my kind of, you know, that rival that, you know, I think always tried to outdo. And I think Farrell was just, for me, you know, the kind of mainstay, you know, the guy that was always at the top, you know, no matter what he was doing, where he was wrestling or whatever. But I mean, there's other guys as well. I mean, I used to love some of Psycho Kid stuff, Costa, you know, Dave Veal. I mean, GBH and Roadkill had the best match I've ever seen live at, what was it, Wrestling Is It Boys? Yeah. That kind of career match, I think, for Roadkill, and that for me was the best experience I've ever had watching wrestling. Wow. You know, those two absolutely tore it up. They were just, you know, and he was completely underrated, Roadkill. I mean, that guy, how he didn't kind of, you know, how he isn't remembered more now, you know, or whatever. I mean, I don't know, maybe he is, but he always just seemed to float under the radar for me. You know, him and GBH, who I think were always tipped as the next big thing, and I don't know if UKBYW ever had a next big stage. It was always going to fade out because you all got too old. And I think, I don't know, I always think that those guys were so underrated, so underrated. I mean, and also you look at guys like, I mean, maybe Ashley Dunn, he kind of had a bit of a time, but I think if he had come in earlier, he would have been one of the bigger guys. Yeah. You know, absolutely, you know, but yeah, I think, you know, him and Tyrant really were the last of the best, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So when did you join NLW, and how did that come about?
Yeah, I think I went down there for an interfed, I think, in, I don't know what one it was, actually. Was it Mind Games, maybe? I think, something like that. We went down there the year after the initial one. I think it was '04 or something, maybe. And yeah, I loved it. Fell in love with the place, the people, and Reaper, Tom. You know, he asked me to come live with him. So I didn't really have anything going on at the time. You know, my parents, you know, weren't together and whatever. So I was kind of bumming about. And he said, look, come and stay with me. I'll get you a job. It's cool, fine. So I went, moved down to Wales, got a job in a bakery. In actual fact, yeah, in D Gibbons. It's just across the Transporter Bridge in Newport. And yeah, I worked there. and then joined the Fed, and we kind of it's pretty good. It's pretty good times.
So, was there any fallout with ECW over that, or was it all cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, there's the big one, isn't there? You know, I think I've been down there a little while, you know, a few months maybe or something, and we were due the DJ 04, which was the big showdown, me and Selby, and I think we'd built up so well. You know, we had kind of built up this massive match because we'd always worked well. We'd always had decent matches, but they were always on like kind of shitty cards. I think one of the best matches I ever had was at Hell Mayonnaise in Hayes. You know, like Hell Mayonnaise in Hayes. You know, like who remembers that fucking event? You know, like, and we had this classic that was just everything. There were no flubs, there were no kind of botches, there was nothing. We just kind of had this amazing match, and I remember watching it back and just going like, if this meant something, you know. And I think that's the thing, is that, you know, you don't want to get caught up because, you know, it is only backyard wrestling. You know, it is only this kind of like this make-believe kind of thing. But I think what interested me at the time was this kind of thought that, you know, even if you're creating on this small level, this small stage, this small kind of theatre, you know, or whatever, you know, you're still creating. You know, you're using your mind, and you're kind of you're being creative, and that's what was important to me at the time, was that it didn't matter that it was in, you know, that 100 people were going to watch it, or that there were kind of 10 people in attendance or something like that. It was that you're kind of putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself outside your comfort zone, you know, where you can be critiqued. So people can say, mate, that's shit, you know, or, you know, that isn't good, or, you know, and I've had my fair share of criticism, you know, in the past, you know, like when I first came on the forum, like Peach used to flame me, man, like big style, you know, can't even take a hip toss and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah. So I think it was just, I think putting yourself out there was what I loved most, you know. And I just remember watching that kind of Hell Mayonnaise and thinking, man, if this meant something, if I could do, you know, if we could do this on a stage where we'd kind of built up a story, or we'd kind of done this kind of thing where, you know, we had, you know, put together something and made it mean something, it would be so much better, because people would invest in it even on the smallest level, you know, even on the, you know, it's fake. And I think there was a lot of, at the time when you watch the comp, you know, I think, you know, when people used to leave feedback, it used to be like move by move.
Oh yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Nice clothesline, good bump,
yeah,
good hip toss, nice big boot, but could have raised your leg a bit higher, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that, you know, for me, comps completely missed the point, because it wasn't, for me, that's not what it was about. It wasn't about taking a good bump off a chokeslam or something. It was about, you know, what can we create, what story can we tell? And I think, I think I wanted to do something like that with Dan. I thought, you know, we could do something. We built out really well. We had these couple of, sit down, mark out was the big one, which was the start of it. And then we had Hell in Harlow, which was a follow-up, which is the, you know, we had one, which was the follow-up to DJ. And then obviously DJ, I no-showed. I didn't turn up.
Yeah.
Which was, a pretty dick move, you know. And there's no, you know, special reason for it and whatever. And I think, you know, we've been over it 1,000 times, you know.
Yeah.
I think, it disappointed me, because I think, you know, the thing that disappointed me most about that is that I think we were kind of, people thought we were the best Fed. So we won a few polls and all that kind of stuff. And I think me and Selby were battling it out in the number one kind of wrestler rank, and that meant a lot to me, you know, at the time, you know, when you're kind of away from home as well, and you know, you kind of, that stuff is important, you know, especially when you kind of, you know, you don't have much more, you know. And I think to be the number one was such a big deal. And I think that after that, I think a lot of people kind of looked at things a little bit differently, especially when it came to me. You know, he's just a dick, you know, he's not a reliable guy, he's not trustworthy, he's not, you know, anything like that, which kind of hurt a little bit, I think, you know, because, and I think that was the biggest mistake, because I think me and Selby were pretty close at that point as well, you know. We see each other quite a lot, and I think that was the biggest thing, is that it just kind of broke up any momentum that we had going, you know. Yeah, so pretty shit.
Yeah, it was a shame that. I remember the hype comp that Costa made. It was just incredible.
Yeah. And I think that was just because, you know, like, yeah, you just care about it. It's something as a kid, and I think that's what you should do as a kid. And I think teenagers and whatever, we weren't out on the streets being dicks and kind of, vandalizing stuff. Well, maybe we were in a different way, but like, nicking people's trash cans stuff. But we weren't doing things that were like kind of anti-social, like I don't know. And I think for me, it was so important at that age just to explore, just to be a little bit open and be a little bit kind of just to be with people that wanted to create. And even if it was, like, the Spotfest guys, the guys that wanted to go out there and just put on move after move after move, to me, that was just as important as whatever, anyone else was trying to do. Because to that, I think to go out there and to wrestle and put yourself in front of people is quite a big thing, even on a small level that we did it. I think it's a big thing. So, yeah, it's quite important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, another thing for me that I found was that it really changed my life in terms of who I am.
Yeah.
Always very shy, very quiet as a kid. And I found out that WCW were in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I went along. That was kind of my first experience of a proper fed, not just pissing around with mates. And it took a while, but, over a few years, I actually gained some confidence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
And yeah, I thought it was quite important to... I'm sure other people found that as well, that it would be a bit of a confidence boost.
Because you kind of think, because it could go horribly wrong, like you could come out, you forget it's like walking onto stage and realizing that, you've got no clothes on or something, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing that you go out there and, I've had it happen. You walk out there, you forget the spot, something goes wrong, and, it's character building, I think. And also as well, I mean, you're kind of, at a very young age, you're traveling around the country, you're kind of meeting people and you're kind of, you're having to get over that, social anxiety of kind of, meeting people for the first time, because you're turning up somewhere and you've got to get on with these people, you've got to get on with them, because if you don't, you're stuck in, Woking or Wales or, London or wherever. You're stuck in these places where you don't know, and you're relying on these people you've met over the internet or maybe one or two times before. So you've got to come out your shell and be a little bit more open. And I think, I think it, for me, it was absolutely 100% character building, especially, to go on and do what I do now, and kind of lead a team and stuff like that, to be able to speak publicly, to be able to be, to kind of just to be kind of confident is a huge thing, I think.
Definitely, yeah. One thing for me as well was, I'm trying to think now, it was like 2006, I was invited to Betterfest.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of, started meeting all the guys, like Selby and all that by that point. Had known them for about a year, and still I wasn't ready to go for some reason.
Yeah.
So again, it took a while for me. I mean, I could have... Josh actually asked me to come to NLW in like late 2003, and it was just like there was no chance.
Yeah, you should have come.
It was before I knew WCW. I knew no one from the forum, and it was just I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. I really wish I had, because that was like the glory years. Those big.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean, NLW had such a run. 2004. Oh yeah. Huge run. I mean. A lot of the matches. I mean, Farrell and Roadkill had a pretty sweet feud. And they were doing their Cage of Death stuff as well, which was pretty cool. Groundbreaking for the time. So yeah, it was awesome. Really good time.
What were your memories of like NLW compared to ECW? I mean, take away like the ring-based versus grass, just the
I think it was kind of the thing with NLW is everyone lived like 5 minutes away, so you could put on a show at the drop of a hat. We all saw each other every day without fail. We'd go to Tesco's, or we'd go to the park, or every day was wrestling. And me, I mean, Gibbs moved down at the same time I did. I mean, I don't know if you know Richard Gibbs.
No.
No,
I know of him, but I haven't.
Yeah. So I mean, if you watch a few of the comps, I mean, he pops up every now and again. I mean, I'm not sure how much of a fan of wrestling he was. And this is, I mean, and I've heard it said about like Nitro as well. But like these are guys that just didn't need the acceptance of guys like us. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need this acceptance in this wrestling community. And Dave said it to me before. Like Nitro is just like in life, he's a fucking cool guy. But like when he gets into this kind of wrestling world, he wants to be accepted. You know what I mean? He's one of the bottom rung guys, or was. He's not now. But like he was one of these guys that was just like, mate, I want to be accepted. And I think that, you know, Gibbs was in that kind of mold, you know, that he would just, you know, I'm not sure how much he liked wrestling. You know, I think he just liked that kind of camaraderie, that kind of just being around it, and that, you know, he said to me once that just that feeling after a match, you know, where everyone, no matter from the top to the bottom, or you know, or whoever from, you know, big and small, will come up to you after the match, shake your hand, say well done, and that is that sense of feeling that I think that, you know, he was after, and I was after. But yeah, we, you know, it's that kind of camaraderie and family almost that I remember from NLW, because yeah, he moved down at the same time I did. We used to just be at Carl's house every day, and we had these like shitty jobs, you know what I mean? Like we worked for like Panasonic and LG, and like our job literally, you know, I'm kind of 17 years old, and like my job was literally like get a TV come along, I'd put in like a power tester, press two buttons, and that was it. I'd do that like 400 times a day, you know. So just that escapism from wrestling, you know, we'd have these breaks where we'd, you know, you get 15-minute breaks every so often, and it would just be right. Look, I'm thinking about this, or I'm thinking about this kind of move, or you know, it was just, yeah, the main overriding thing was just family. I think from NLW, because we run regular shows, and I think that was always the bad thing about ECW, is that we couldn't, you know, we couldn't run as regular as we wanted to, or as much as I wanted to anyway, because we should have done a lot more. You know, we should have done a lot more shows than what we put out. And I think, especially when we were at our prime, we could have done, you know, a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know, yeah, it's disappointing. I think because it would have been a lot better. But
and yeah. NLW ended in was it summer 2004, something like that?
Yeah, we had this kind of I think everyone kind of, I don't know. I really don't know what changed. I think it got to the point where I think maybe because we were doing shows so regularly that you kind of get a bit burned out. And I mean, I wasn't burned out kind of individually, but I think collectively, you know, you kind of get that feeling that, you know, what more can you do? And, you know, bumping started to hurt, you know, and you start to see these guys start to go pro. You start to see these guys kind of using their skills, and you know, I mean, kind of Naylor went pro, I think, around that time. You know, he kind of wrestled a little bit. You know, and you start to see these guys kind of step away, and just, you know, you start to feel a bit silly almost. I don't know, but you know, it hurts, and you got a job to go to, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, we had this thing where it just had the goodbye show, which was like, I don't know, it was pretty surreal. It was pretty weird, you know, because it didn't feel real, you know, it didn't feel like it was going to end. And I think it wasn't until we look back at it later that it was just a bit like, fuck, you know, like it, you know, it's over, it's ended. And I think that's the case for most of it. You know, I can't believe, you know, how long ago it is now. You know, it's like 10 years more. Yeah, and, you know, I'll never be that agile, you know, or never be that kind of, you know, like, that fit or that kind of carefree or that, you know, to be able to do that stuff again, you know. So
yeah, man. Yeah. Do you see that as kind of like the end of your kind of career? I mean, you came back, you did matches and stuff, and
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I had I had some fun when I came back. I think, you know, coming back and doing, I think initially Heatfest was amazing. You know, we had a proper ECW style match, you know. Me, Costa, and Ollie, we did this. You know, we main evented day one or something, and I think a lot of people were pissed about it or something, you know, because it wasn't worthy to be the main event.
What?
Shit, yeah. I heard a lot of people were pissed about it because it wasn't a spot fest. It wasn't like a kind of head and neck fest. I think we went out there, and I said to Selby before, I was like, mate, you're going to love this, you know, because we literally, you know, we had the football stuff going on. You know, we got football chants going. We did the kind of we ran in the middle of the ring and like bashed heads and stuff. It was just a great, fun, let's go back to what BYW should be, and kind of, because I think the thing is as well that event, you know, was the first event that I thought, this is maybe that next step up. So it's not backyard wrestling, it's not indie, it's that kind of in between, because, you know, you had guys like is it Yakuza J and stuff like that, and they were taking that shit real, you know. They were like, I looked at that guy and thought, you know, he looks like a pro wrestler, you know, kind of, and the way the matches were structured. And I think that's the first time I kind of saw Hitch as well, really come into his own. I think he had a match with Yakuza J, didn't he?
Yeah.
And man, that was insane, you know. And I remember thinking, right, you know, kind of, I'm not awful, but those guys are completely on a different level. Like in terms of how much they want it, almost. Like how much they're willing to kind of. I'm willing to go and have a laugh and do all that kind of stuff, and I think that's what it became for me in the end. But yeah, just I think that match as well was a big eye opener. Just kind of seeing how seriously everyone took it. I think because everyone was buying kick pads at that point, and everyone was dressed like proper pro wrestlers. And there's me, Ollie, and Costa wearing kind of trackies and harking back to the old school. Kind of trackies and football tops and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good event though. I really, it was good. But I enjoyed that match so much. And then obviously we did the whole AGW thing with Richard Varty, Scott Smith, and all that kind of stuff. Which was fun. I mean, I loved that match. I mean, I felt on form. When you kind of go into something and you feel like, yeah, I feel pretty good. Watching that match back now, I kind of feel pretty happy with that. I think me and Ollie have always had a bit of chemistry, and I'm quite happy, with the way that went. And and the guys there were really, really cool. It was a shame it wasn't much bigger. I thought it would be kind of a bit of a hark back to the old days of interfeds.
Yeah.
It didn't really take off, and I was really disappointed by that because I thought that AGW were doing some really good stuff at that time. I was kind of following them, but not following it, if you know what I mean. They were the only ones that I thought, shit, like they had that Jesus guy and El Nombre, whatever his name is, that were doing some pretty. I was following their comps when they were releasing them, and it was pretty good. And you could tell that they were all going to be, half decent pros, and if not a lot more. And I think, Rich has gone on to do a lot more. I think, with TNA and stuff, hasn't he? So
Yeah.
I think, I just think it became more just about having a laugh, really, in the end, and coming doing those matches, and then obviously the one with Selby. That was pretty good, nice, good story, I thought. Not really spotty, and I think a lot different than what people expected, which was good. But yeah, that was great. Just to that was the first time I kind of came back and thought, it was the only one I came back and really put my mind into and really had a lot of fun with trying to come up with, because I've been thinking about that match for 10 years.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so, how would it go, or, what music would be on the comp, and, all that kind of stuff. So,
Do you have that match?
I don't. No, I've seen it once.
I'm pretty sure it's lost, and it's heartbreaking. I saw it and I loved it. By the way, I thought it was great. Like,
Yeah.
I loved the way you did it. I love the fact that, again, it was building up for 10 years.
Yeah.
You had the match, it was over, and then Selby goes for the handshake, and then you're just like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, and
it was
that's
just so
really
good.
Selby's idea. I was going for the big, kind of, and I think everyone was, the big, let's have a hug, man, come on, let's hug this shit out. Let's end on a high. And he was like, nah, mate, you can't end like that. You know what I mean? We've got to do that swerve. We've got to have that final swerve. And I think the whole story for me was just, that was, and it was fitting, because I think the thing is that, in my mind, he was always going to win. So when I was thinking about it, he was always going to win. And he said to me, that's fine, and whatever, but I can't win. It just, there's not enough of a story there. That's the kind of, how can I describe it? That's the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. That's the kind of, that's the good guy saves the day,
Yeah.
And I think he wanted to do something a little bit richer, a little bit kind of darker. And that's just Selby. I think, that's just him kind of, that's completely his idea. And I think the whole story of kind of his anger completely dominating the match, he came in and completely obliterated me, was on the way to win and then fucked up. And that gave me my in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think just to give me that kind of in, that he's then injured in his back, and everyone knows about his back. He misses this splash and we kind of shoot his back's injured, and, the ref comes in, and then I'm kicking him and he's no-selling the back. And I think that was a good point that we came up with, was that, let me just kick the shit out of your back and just no-sell it. And then that kind of gets that by you, that little kind of, is this legit? Is he been a bit of a prick, or is, is he hurt? Because then, all you have to do is plant that little kind of seed of doubt, that little kind of belief, because when you watch anything, you watch a film or whatever, you suspend your disbelief, as much as you try not to, maybe, and you might think, oh, that's jumped the shark, or that's shit, or that's whatever. You still suspend your disbelief in the tiniest way. And I think that's what we wanted to buy into, was that these guys probably, I mean, because we get on quite cool now, I hope, but a lot of people who don't really know that kind of thought, well, maybe there is a bit of beef, maybe there is a bit of tension, and yeah, it was just a really cool story to work, really fun, and then just to do the swerve at the end as well, which was really cool. So.
Yeah. How did that even come about? I mean, that was 2013, right?
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
just like a better fest after many years of it not happening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, he put together the XPB event, so and then I think it was just like a Facebook challenge or something. Like I don't really remember too much about it. I remember just being because I remember him putting something up, and I was like, yeah, I'd come along or whatever. And he was like, I think he even posted it on there. I'm up for it if you are. And I was like, fucking yeah, of course. And I remember ads being like, mate, I just got wet or something. Like, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it really kind of. It was it's hard to talk about because the difficult thing about it as well is that it was never going to be as good as what people kind of thought, and that was what my thing with Selby was, and he was like, fuck that, man, like, who cares, and I think that's what I have to look at a lot of my stuff now is that I think for so many years doing it, I kind of, you worry and you care and you think, like, and I thought about you the other day, actually. I was watching that documentary you did with ads, that kind of,
Oh yeah.
yeah, insane, absolutely, top quality, and I kind of think that something like that you should be so proud of, that whole story, that whole match, that whole documentary, because I think for what that must mean to you, is probably something quite monumental,
Yeah, it is.
and a lot of the stuff that I've done, I kind of at the time was just worried about what everyone else would think,
Yeah.
I think I was just so worried about like how's that gonna come across, or how how's that gonna make me look, or is that is that as good as Selby, or is that as good as Pack, or is that as good as Farrell, or all that kind of stuff, because all I wanted to do was be the best. All I wanted to do was throw the best punch or bump the best and all that kind of stuff. And I think looking back now in those last 4 or 5 matches, I didn't really have that pressure on me. I can look back at those now and just go, I was as for a kid, for a teenager or whatever, I was putting so much pressure to, but it was good. I think in the reverse, like to just transverse that as well, because I think that made things better by wanting that, having that hunger to be the best,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The thing I did with ads, it was at the point where I'd grown up enough that it wasn't the biggest thing in my life, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, what I always wanted to do was have a great like blood feud kind of thing,
Yeah.
And then end with that epic, and that's what me and Ads both, we were so on point with what we wanted to do with that, and it was really, we just did it for ourselves, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it was great to have everyone involved and into it, but it was really, we're our own biggest fans of that, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I am as well, mate. I thought it was insane. I think I've always loved Ads as a worker. I think he was insane. I think a lot of the stuff that he done, and I think he's pretty underrated as well. When you look at,
I agree. Yeah.
The stuff that he did with Costa, at Britfest, and that match was just unreal, unreal. But even just going back, I mean, he was one of the first guys on the forum. When we were, he's been through it all. He's seen a lot, So I think he was at the Welsh interfeds and stuff. So I think absolutely top quality guy, 100%.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, there's loads of other stuff I could ask you, but we'll forget about that for now, like NAW and stuff. But what do you think of it all now that it's it's all over and stuff, and looking back on it, do you still value it like for what you did?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it just reminds me of fun now. I think and I think just looking back, I mean, it's good just to chill out sometimes and watch it, because I think it's I almost don't recognize some of it. It's good to relive it, because you kind of think, we did a hell of a lot, as a group, as a community, and kind of, even when someone was being kind of cussed out on the forum or something, or there was always something going on, and I think you don't realize till you look back and look at the matches and look at the events and you go, oh yeah, that was when this happened, or oh that was really good, or it reminds you of something. I think it's such a vast sort of encyclopedia of kind of memories and stuff like that. I think, yeah, I wouldn't trade what I did for anything. I think, the good times and the bad, because I think, I think that molded a lot of us into being pretty good kind of guys,
Yeah.
We kind of, and as we were saying earlier, the ability to talk to people and just be, from all walks, because I mean, man, bloody hell, some of the guys, like I say, that, we met, everyone from like, do you remember that big Reg guy?
Yeah.
He was weird, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, not in a bad way, because like the guy had, he was funny. He made me laugh. But like, I just think from guys like him to, Nitro, just completely different walks of life, and they're all united by this one weird pastime. It's like, and I think that's the big thing for me, is that I think you can never take away what we had, even though it was quite short, retrospectively, I think. But yeah, brilliant times.
What about your body now? How are you feeling pain-wise?
Pretty good, mate. Yeah. Well, I coach my son's football team, so pretty good shape. Yeah, kind of. No real nagging injuries. I'm pretty lucky, because a lot of the guys, that I know. I mean, Selby obviously is pretty fucked. So. Yeah, I think we all did. I mean, Ollie as well. I mean, he had back trouble beforehand, and I think, to do what he did was pretty risky. I mean, he had Ollie's got a twisted spine, so to backyard wrestle for the amount of time that he did, and I mean, I talked about the AGW match earlier. I mean, you look at that kind of, we did that SPAC Brittany onto the open steel chair, and it was unreal. I think. The bump that he took on the chair was unreal, and just him to escape, was great. But I'm feeling really, really good, actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love wrestling him, actually. Like,
yeah,
he's such a fun guy to wrestle.
But also as well is that I think a lot of the stuff that he did was so understated, so underappreciated, because he wasn't the best bumper. He threw the worst punch ever, I think. He was, he didn't work stiff enough for me and stuff like that. But all you had to do was kind of hit Ollie a little bit harder, and then he'd I mean, him and Selby had a fucking awesome match once. I think, I can't remember when it was. What was the name of the event? They had a Linkin Park theme tune to the comp. That's all I remember.
Oh, I think I know all the chair shots.
Yeah. Oh man. And because I think they had a bit of heat at the time as well. Personally. I'm not sure what went down, but I think they were kind of out of the ring, so to speak. They were going at each other, and I think Selby threw a couple of punches and Ollie threw a couple back, and I was like, whoa, this is this is pretty cool. But I think I think the thing for Ollie was that a lot of the stuff that he did for a reason. His favorite wrestlers, is obviously Rock and Austin, and he loved that style of just being, it's being sports entertainment, that kind of, you're a rock star who throws himself around the ring. Do you know what I mean? That kind of, and he got that. He nailed it 100%. And I think that's why a lot of people, because he was in an era, because when he first started, he was pretty respected. And I think, and when we moved into the era of your Ashley Dunns and your Tyrants and your Pyros, I mean, that guy can bump. A lot of stuff, El Diablos, a lot of the BWF guys, really. You moved into that era, and he kind of became, like a little bit forgotten about, or a little bit kind of not as important, and I think a lot of the stuff he did was missed because they were looking for a good bump and not necessarily, right, well, why is the guy doing this? Or, how does this play into, not only that match, but I think Short Round was one to say, right, well, we're going to have 4 matches. Or, I'm going to do a tag with this guy and this is going to, or it's going to lead to a match between me and you and, and whatever. And then you're going to screw me. And then we'll have another match down the line where it's under no DQ rules or something. That's the way he would think. So he'd think, right, well, I'm not going to do my big moves in the first match. I might have it might be by a comp standard pretty shit. But when we have the kind of the payoff at the end, it's going to be pretty awesome, And I think that was kind of missed, I don't think a lot of people got that,
Yeah. So. I remember, I think it was Britfest 2006, you guys had a great match.
Yeah, I loved it, loved it. And
And
again, I think that was, I think, I felt a lot, I felt on fire that day, felt pretty on form. I think we were kind of blown out of the water by Pyro and the Andrews. I think they did some pretty
that was
insane
that was a
stuff.
different year. That was
Oh, was it?
that was 2008. Yeah,
Was it? What was 2006? It was
2006. There
someone.
was Tyrant and Selby,
Yeah.
GBH Dave.
That was it, yeah. GBH Dave, awesome, awesome match
Yeah.
with the suplexes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, the thing about me and short round. I mean, we wanted to do something a bit different. You know, we knew we couldn't compete with the guys that were flipping and all that kind of stuff. So we just thought, yeah, we'll use a car. We'll do the whole car thing and kind of threw in a bit of a weird spot at the end that I thought was quite cool. You know, where he goes for the punch and I kind of pussy out of taking the punch and he just hits me with a stunner, which is pretty cool. We just wanted to do stuff that was different, and try different stuff.
Well, yeah. The reason I brought it up, I was going to say, was that what blew my mind was you did all the the chair shots to the hand and stuff and brutal stuff. But it was just one bit at the end. You go for the DDT, and he does basically a handstand handspring out of it, and I just lost my mind. I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And then that went into the ending, and it was just so good.
He used to love it. He used to love taking the DDT. And, when someone likes taking your finish, I think Austin said it once, he used to love giving it to Shane McMahon because, that guy would sell, he'd sell it like, he'd never taken it before, So, yeah, I used to love giving it to, because he'd always kind of, he'd know how to sell it, which is cool.
Yeah. We did some great stuff. I remember once we had a match and I had the ECW title and he brought it to the ring and I just pulled out to hit him with it. He kicked me, grabbed the belt, put it over his shoulder like people carry it, and gave me a stunner with the.
Yeah, awesome. I remember that actually. I remember watching that. It was pretty cool.
And we did this stunner off the horse where I just spiked him midair and.
Yeah. And that was pretty underrated. I think that was a pretty underrated thing at the time because I think, and maybe another regret was not getting involved in the kind of booking of NAW at the time because that was pretty hot, wasn't it? At one point.
Yeah.
And I think yeah. I mean. I spoke to Selby about it as well a tiny bit, and just getting involved in that. And I mean, he would have loved it as well. I think he still kind of would. Just booking, and getting stories across and doing something like that would be just to get the kind of juices flowing, getting the mind going. Because I think there's not a lot out there when you watch wrestling at the moment that is kind of that is exciting, So I think. And that was what was always the draw about Backyard as well, is that, if it wasn't, if the main product wasn't doing it for you, you could always just do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you weren't seeing it, you could do it,
Yeah, I want to just go back quickly to that Heatfest match you were talking about with you, Ollie and Costa.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got the idea that people moaned about that match because I thought everyone loved it and it went down great. One thing I do remember, though, is when you did the promo to set it up.
Yeah.
It took like about 10 minutes or something. It was really funny, but it took a while. I remember Steve was he was trying to get back to this pub to order he was just standing there going, okay, they're going to have the match, just do
Yeah. I think it was just, I don't know. I think that was Ollie and Costa. And I think the thing as well is that people were buying into it, I think. So people were laughing, and I think that, you don't want to laugh at Ollie and Costa because they'll drag it out,
Yeah.
I was standing there in my pants,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, which wasn't great. Costa dressed like a migraine, I think,
Yeah.
which is, it was just pretty cool, I think, and I think that's probably why, is I think people were probably pissed because they wanted to go and do different stuff, and whatever. But it was nice because I'd never been to Heatfest, and I always kind of thought, that overtook as the main one, didn't it? That overtook as the main thing, and I think I hit that really late, and that's a bit of a disappointment because I really thought, I remember did Ads and Selby have a match there? That was pretty. I saw a comp.
That was ridiculous.
Pretty insane, yeah. And I think I missed my Heatfest moment, like in that respect, because I think I could have done something pretty special,
I think though that one for me was the best one. I feel like it was kind of like the last big hurrah for everyone.
It was, I agree, mate.
It had a bit of everything. It had like me and Alex. It had like Makabe, Yakuza J.
Yeah, because that's when it started going a bit transatlantic as well, didn't it?
Yeah, but it also had like Taylor versus Oz, and like there was like throwbacks. Barnesy wrestled, you wrestled. It was a great mix of everything to me.
Barnesy, man, fucking hell, I forgot about that. Man, that he, I think I heard a story once that he got told that like he'd never make it or something, and I couldn't believe my ears, like how that that guy had everything, you know what I mean? Absolutely everything. I think, he was one guy. I mean, when you talked about UVW as they were at the time, it was always Pac and Voodoo.
Yeah.
Always Pac and Voodoo.
Did you ever wrestle Pac?
Yeah, once in a, I know it was Costa's dream match. Costa was always like, these two have got to have a match, one-on-one. But we didn't. We only had, it was a 6-man cage at Welshfest.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Something like that. We did like a cage of death, six-man thing with Roadkill, Reaper, just GBH, I think, just loads of spots basically. And I took this kind of, I don't know, I'm not up to speed with all the flippy moods or whatever they are, but he did some kind of move off the top of the cage to me on the outside through a table that actually knocked me out cold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, blacked out completely. My girlfriend at the time, like I remember just kind of waking up with her like slapping my face, like you need to wake up, like even calling me Dreamer as well, which is really bizarre, like you know what I mean, like Dreamer, wake up, like who the fuck is Dreamer, like I'm Dan, like it's weird, like but yeah, it was I think we had a couple of spots, but that was it. I always thought we could do more. I wrestled APOC once, which was pretty insane. Farage. That guy was stiff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hit a pulley pile driver on him on the top of like this bench, and I thought I got him hard. And when you kind of know you've done it hard. I was like, "Fuck, are you all right?" He was like, "Yeah, man. You're just fine." It was hard as nails. Like completely nuts.
Yeah. Well, considering you've been in a match with Pac, then does that like make you even more like in awe of what he's doing now?
Yeah, man. I was watching. What was I doing the other day? I was playing WWE 2K15. I decided to buy it and I've played it like twice, but I decided to give it a go and just playing through the career mode, and whatever. And you see, I got into like a mini feud with him, on the career mode, and it was just insane. Just watch it because I saw him just before he flew out. I was around Dave's one night, and we were just playing FIFA and whatnot, and had a couple of games with Ben and stuff, and it was just a bit, Dave's parents were asking him about, so have you got your place sorted? He's telling him about how he was kind of backstage. Regal was there, Regal offered him the contract, and Triple H was there, and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, you kind of sit there and you think this is insane, because I think, it's just, someone and I don't know him as well as Dave or Selby does, but I know him, quite, in kind of backyard terms quite well. It's just so surreal just knowing that, just seeing this guy on my TV that, I've had a beer with or something, and just like, he's, Triple H is kind of marking out over him, it's like, it's insane. Yeah, really insane. He's doing so well. So, I mean, and I think the thing is as well is that he's completely stepped it up another level. I mean, I watched that Rival, NXT Rival.
Yeah.
He had that match against Finn Balor, who was pretty insane. And there was one moment in it where he hits his finish. I think it was like a red arrow or something, or he hits his finish on him, and Balor kicks out. And Pac's face, I was like, right, you've got it. He kind of, I felt his frustration, and for me, I mean, that's, I don't know. I think. He's completely got it. He's completely got it, 100%. And that was the only match on that show actually that kind of I thought was all right. Actually, if I'm honest, I think the undercard before that was pretty poor. But maybe I'm a bit of a mark for Pac, but I think he's pretty insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've already told the story in a previous podcast, but just the short version, I actually bumped into him at New Orleans. Last year, and it was just, again, I never really knew him. I just said, hey, I used to, back out.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, cool, yeah. And I was like, yeah, everyone's loving what you're doing. And but it was just so weird, on the other side of the world to just that link, And I bumped into another yarder as well. It was ridiculous. It's like,
oh, really? Who?
Nottage. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah. Is he doing something with Farrell or something? Or he did something?
I think he was in a band with them at some point.
But, that's it. Yeah. I know of him.
Yeah, I was queuing up to meet Roddy Piper, and he was just there. He was like, Sandog. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
Piper, yeah. Piper was awesome.
I didn't get to meet him though, unfortunately. So.
Oh, did you not?
No, they switch him. They switch him every hour, kind of thing.
Oh, no way.
Oh yeah, and they have to get in like their interviews with the camera crew, and that stalls the queue and stuff. So
Oh, no way.
yeah, I
Gutted.
I met Steamboat, right,
Oh, awesome.
and it was like we're waiting for ages, and then like okay, we got to go now, and everyone was like, oh come on, really?
Yeah.
And some people in the queue kicked up a big fuss about it, so they sped it up. We went through. I got to Steamboat. I was like, I know this is rushing everything, but it's a real pleasure to meet you and shake your hand.
Yeah.
He shook
Yeah.
my hand. He looked like past me and went, okay. It was just like,
Awesome.
I
Yeah, I mean, yeah, him. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Cheetown Rumble with him and Flair.
oh, of course,
Watch
man.
that.
Oh,
Watch that
man.
match. Man, that is one of my top 10. Maybe even top 5. It's such a good match.
Yeah.
He's insane.
All right. What else? I mean, I think we can probably round
Yeah,
off
I think
here.
we're pretty much done, mate.
I
Yeah.
got loads of other notes about certain matches, but I don't know. Maybe we can do another one down the line. Maybe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll do another one, mate.
Yeah.
Maybe not so late, and maybe
Yeah, exactly.
kind of. No, we'll definitely do it, mate. I mean, there's a lot more. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of. I feel like I've rambled a little bit as
No,
well.
it's great. No, it's really on. It's great to hear your thoughts on it and stuff.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think I'm kind of on the same kind of level as you in terms of what I think about it.
yeah.
But anyway, one last thing I want to end on actually.
Cool, mate.
We were supposed to wrestle, I think, twice.
Yes, mate.
Once in
Yeah,
2006, it didn't happen.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then the second time was 2008, and you fired me in Newcastle on this NAW show.
yeah,
And then that was supposed to lead to it, but it didn't happen.
yeah,
But the point is, I think you were the GM of that show. It was the one
yeah.
in the ring with the crowd. And you're doing this promo.
Yeah.
and this
Oh, man.
mum runs in and just grabs you.
Yeah. Do you know Farrell thought I'd set that up?
Yeah, we
Like
didn't know what was
Farrell
going
came
on.
up
We
to
were
me
backstage. Yeah,
and
we were.
shoot. Yeah, he proper went to town on me afterwards. Like he
Oh, really?
proper cut a promo on me. Like he kind of said to me like, "What the fuck was that?" So what do you mean?
Wow.
He was like, "Well, why are you getting the crowd involved?" I was like, "Mate, I did nothing." You know what I mean? I'm standing there in the ring, cutting a promo. I think I think half of it as well was like I was having a go at Steve-O. So Steve-O was in, doing the whole Newcastle, Geordie thing and whatever. And I was, kind of cussing off Geordie's in particular, I think. And yeah, she just jumped out. I remember just getting in a headlock, and I kind of worked the headlock because I thought, oh, like maybe there's something kind of that he hasn't told me about. So I kind of worked it and sold it, and and whatever. And then I looked around and realized that it was this woman. Just I couldn't believe it. But like, yeah, he probably went kind of said to me afterwards, like, no, you set that up, didn't you? I was like, mate, I didn't. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, there was no way I kind of, why am I going to go to a woman in the crowd? Like, look, here's a fiver, love, right? Can you jump in the ring, and put me in a headlock? Like, no thanks, just very, very good at what I was doing, But I think what made that good as well, I think, was that, I think Barnsley was in the crowd with Lizzie. And he was like, "Oh, fuck off, mate! Go back to London, mate." Which is pretty cool. That was a particular highlight,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was you said about that the other day, and I never got back to you. But you said about it, and it made me laugh, like remembering about it. But those are pretty cool. Those NAW shows, because didn't they run them with like another Fed, and like they had to have a match on the show or something?
I think it was the guy or the people who gave them the ring.
Yeah,
And they just had they had like a pre-show match or something like that.
Yeah, that was always awful, like really bad. Like there was like one guy I remember called Chaos or something that wore like driving gloves to the ring or something.
Don't
Yeah,
remember
it's
that.
like weird. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, really bad. Really bad.
So many weird stories like that. It's just
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a shame we didn't do more. It was a shame that we kind of. I think, in particularly, me and you. I think we could have had a classic, mate.
yeah.
Could have had a really good. And I think as well, I'm obviously regretted not wrestling Alex. I think
Oh, that would have been amazing as well.
Yeah, because I think. Yeah, I think I looked at you guys and knew that you got it. I kind of, in terms of, you wanted to tell a story, and I think sometimes it wasn't as appreciated as it should have been. I think because you guys were out there kind of busting. Dave Williams as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely outstanding in terms of telling a story. Some of his, your match with him. I mean, I know that it kind of got a bit ruined by the whole glove thing. I
Oh
think,
God, yeah.
yeah,
Don't
but
remind me.
yeah, mate, yeah. Sorry, but I think that match up until that point, no, I'm joking, was pretty good. I think that he had a bit of an intensity about him, and I'm really surprised he didn't go pro. I'm
Yeah,
really surprised he didn't take it a little bit further.
yeah. I think
He
he,
definitely had something.
I
Yeah,
think he enjoys his drinking weekends probably a bit
yeah,
more than the.
yeah. Me too. I see it on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you and Alex have had a great like technical kind of match with lots of like
yeah.
innovative spots and stuff.
Yeah, I would have loved to. I would have loved to have done it. I think it was even on the cards at one point, a tag, or wasn't it? Didn't we discuss a tag at one point?
I can't remember. I do remember you and him being discussed at one point though,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think you and me probably would have had more of a brawling kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Or we could have surprised everyone and had a bit of a technical classic,
yeah, yeah. All right.
Who knows? But
Anyway.
yeah, no, maybe one day. Eh? Who
I don't
knows?
know about that. Well, let's end on that. Do you ever see yourself doing it again, or do you think the Selby one was a good one too?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent one to end. I'd like to go along to a few. There was that kind of they got Entertain Mania or something that
Yeah, I'm going to
Rory,
that.
Rory was doing or something. Are you going? Did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going.
Hmm.
I might just be there. I
Hmm.
might just be there.
Interesting.
I was thinking about just kind of going along and just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. Be
Just
good
kind
to
of
see
being
him, man.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going, that's definitely made it a little bit more tempting. Yeah, okay, I'll definitely look into it because I'm actually going to Africa in May.
Wow.
My sister-in-law has got she's doing a clean water project to supply clean water for like 17,000 people or something. So she used to work for WaterAid, so she's out there at the moment doing all that kind of stuff. So me and Lou are going to go out just for a few weeks, with her mum and dad, just to kind of just go out there and
Nice.
do what we can. So, but yeah, I mean, July sounds good, mate.
Cool.
Sounds good. Yeah, if you're around, mate, maybe come and stay or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good.
cool.
I'm not sure what my plans are yet, but I should be going back to the UK in July. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, if if you're at short end or whatever,
Yeah, man.
a loose end, then let me know.
Yeah, that was good when I randomly stayed over yours a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Because
it was.
me and you'd never really like one-on-one really, hung
No,
out that much. But
yeah,
I guess it's just one of those backyard things, isn't it?
it is, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you just know you kind of, and it's what we said about earlier. Sometimes you just click, and it just takes that kind of getting over that awkward bit
Yeah.
to just click, And I think that happened. So I think obviously it's a little bit different now from a few years. I bought a house now, so we're
Cool.
in a nice 3-bedroom house with a conservatory and cars and all sorts and whatever, and married and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot different, mate. You'd have a lot more space than you did, if you did decide to come. But
Yeah.
definitely a different situation, mate. Not all of us sitting in a room, that was fucking hot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and no fucking air
You
conditioning.
had a
'Cause it
nice
was
little
like,
balcony though. That was good.
yeah, but it was like because a view of London and stuff, so not bad. But it was just because it was brand new. It was like there was no. It's like it was grade 5 sealed. So like it was almost like
Uh,
a. It was almost what's the thing? Where you have your packed lunch in. Like a kind of.
yeah.
It was almost like that when the doors were closed. It was like there was no air getting in or out. So yeah, but no, it was a really good experience. It was SummerSlam, was it?
Yeah.
What?
It was the Triple H Brock Lesnar match we were all looking
Yeah.
forward to, and just wasn't very good.
Yeah, kind of disappointed. Yeah, kind of disappointed a tiny bit. And I think it's kind of. I think that was the first one that really disappointed me as well, a little bit. Like, I think I kind of, even the Manias before that, even Brett Vince, I didn't leave that show as disappointed as I did after that SummerSlam. And then, the events that followed, I think, there's nothing that's really grabbed me recently,
No.
And I think the last thing, I kind of watch it, I kind of faded out of it and watched it, watch it every now and again now. And I think, the network is, I'm loving kind of Bray Wyatt at the moment, but I don't see enough of him and whatever. But I think, last thing for me was CM Punk, his
Yeah.
big rise, the pipe bomb thing and whatever. That kind of got me interested, and then it just got shit. And I think now I don't, I give him my money because, obviously watch the network and whatever, but it's pretty good just for, watching old ECW.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Pretty good. But yeah, like the main products and stuff, I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure what's going on at the moment.
Were you into all the Bryan stuff last year?
Yeah, I don't know. I liked Daniel Bryan, you know, and I still like him. Like, don't get me wrong, he's fucking amazing. But like, I don't know. Like, I've got two views on this. One of them is that I think, you know, you give the people what they want, yeah, and I think that's, you know, kind of good for business or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the other view that it's like you're always going to have critics. So no matter what you do, you're always going to have people that are going to have a different opinion. So you're always going to have people that are going to disagree. And you know, there was that video that went out. I think you shared it, wasn't it? The rise and fall,
Yeah.
which was pretty on point. But I also think that, you know, you kind of, it's not always going to be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to find some kind of goodness in it because, you know, it isn't your guy isn't always going to be pushed. And if he is pushed, you know, is he then going to, because I remember hearing an interview with Daniel Bryan. I was talking to Ollie about this the other day. And I think Triple H even mentioned it as well. That like Daniel Bryan was like, mate, I don't want to be pushed now. I don't want to be pushed. You know, hold off. Keep me as this underdog guy. You know, I want to be the guy that the fans want to see me pushed, and you don't want to. You don't want to push me, kind of thing. You know, I don't want to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to peak now. You know, I don't want the title yet. You know, I want to be the guy that they keep chanting for, you know, because that keeps me in a good position because I'm needed. As soon as I become the guy that gets the title, there's another guy behind me that is going to take that spot of being the underdog, you know?
Yeah.
And I get that. I kind of get that, you know, that, you know, I think what they're doing with Bryan and Reigns at the moment is a bit different because Reigns was never that Daniel Bryan guy. Like he was big, but he couldn't sustain it, whereas Bryan could sustain it because he had the quality to kind of back it up, you know?
Yeah.
And he reminds me a lot of what Brett did, you know, when Brett had his singles push and stuff, is that, you know, the crowd kind of wanted it. And even though the WWE kind of held off and fought it for a little while, it is, you know, his talent kind of shone through. And I think the difference with Reigns is that they kind of held off, but, you know, that talent didn't kind of come back to the fore, did it? You know, it kind of stopped, you know? And then when they were ready to push him, he wasn't the guy anymore, you know? So I don't know. It's a difficult one at the moment. I think, you know, I love Brock. I think Brock's a monster. I've always loved Brock. I think he's insane. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit mediocre at the moment, you know. So
Yeah. It's I find myself just watching less and less. Really.
yeah,
I think I'm coming up for a phase of not really watching at all. I think.
yeah. And I think the strange thing is, mate, is that like I was really kind of, you know, I almost kind of didn't want to. I never pictured myself not watching it, you know? Like I never pictured myself not being a fan, you know? And I kind of, it was always, whenever I talk to people, it was the first thing I talk to people about. Oh, so you watch wrestling? You know, like, you know, for years. And now it's not the first thing in my mind, you know? And like, that's weird. Like, you know, because the product isn't coming back into the front again. And kind of, you know, for the public and stuff. It was so weird not being that guy that champions it. Because I was always the guy, oh, you like wrestling? I'll talk to Dan. You know, Dan's the wrestling guy. You know, he knows stuff from Japan or he knows stuff from, you know, Mexico and whatever, you know. Talk to Dan, you know. And now I'm a bit of a connoisseur, you know, like I kind of choose what I watch.
Yeah.
And if it's good enough, I'll watch it, you know. And if it's kind of, if I hear enough people talk about it, I'll maybe give it a watch. And, you know, that New Japan event, you know, Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only event in, I don't know, 5 years that I've watched clean through, I think, you know, like, without, you know, missing a match or, you know, or you know, whatever, I think, you know, and I've actually cared about, I've actually wanted to watch all the way through, you know. Every other event, you kind of fast forward it or you miss a match because it's a Divas match or something, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever, but yeah, I think it's weird at the moment. It's a weird time. It's a weird time.
Yeah, I've definitely transitioned into like it's not my main thing, you know.
Yeah,
I don't think it ever
That's
will
so
be.
Weird,
but,
isn't it? Like,
you know, it'll come back around again in terms of
yeah.
You know, but I can't see myself ever being the watching every show every week kind of guy.
Yeah, but I never, you know, and
It's
I
too
mean,
much.
Yeah, but I never thought I would not be that guy. You know, I watched every show. I watched Heat. You know what I mean? Like, I was the guy that watched like
Yeah.
Shotgun on Saturday morning or something. You know, just to
Metal.
see like who Yeah, metal. Like, what the fuck was that? Metal. You know what I mean? Like, that was just watching those guys, like the Jobbers, and just knowing who they were and seeing them. It was just, yeah. Now I just don't know. Just don't care. I'm too busy watching movies.
Yeah. Same here, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. Or Breaking Bad.
Yeah. All right, well, nice one, man. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate
Yeah,
the.
that's all right, mate. Yeah, cool. I'll let you go 'cause it's probably ridiculously late over there, isn't it?
Yeah, not too bad.
No, still can't. Can you hear?
uh, very, very
All right
slightly.
then, mate. That's all right. Well, I'll catch up tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice one, man. Thanks for coming
All
on,
right,
and I'll
mate.
speak to you soon.
Cheers, Luke.
Nice one, man.
Bye bye.
All right, that was the conversation with Dan Dream. I hope you enjoyed it. I apologise for the audio issues at the end there. I think it was a problem with the Skype connection or the internet, something like that. But at least it didn't happen in the beginning or the middle of the conversation, and it was winding down anyway at that point, so it wasn't too bad. But now I'm going to run a few minutes of what we were talking about before we got onto wrestling. I cut that out at the beginning because I want to get quickly to the wrestling stuff, which is what you're here for. But also, there are some Breaking Bad spoilers in this kind of extra stuff, and also some mild Walking Dead comic spoilers. So if you want to avoid any of that, then best to skip this as well. But otherwise, you can just listen to us talking about some films and some TV shows and just a little bit of extra content, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's it for the Backyard Wrestling portion. And yeah, stay tuned for next week. There is another podcast that will be hosted by Alex. Thanks for listening, and enjoy this stuff.
I've been actually catching up on a bit of Breaking Bad. Now I know you're a big fan, yeah?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, so I've been literally, I started watching it because I've had a bit of annual leave this week. So, but me and Lou have been like properly busy. So I, about 2 or 3 months ago, I started to have a different day off to what she had. So I just thought, right, I'll put it on, I'll start it, I'll see how I go. Mate, it is. I'm addicted, absolutely addicted to it. And I think the thing is, a lot of people have said that. I think the thing is that like everyone I spoke to is like, oh, wait till season 3 or wait till season 4 and whatever. But for me, I love the fact that it's such a slow burn.
Yes.
Like, I love season 1 and 2, like my favorite seasons, because I'm only on season 4 at the moment, like episode 6 or something. But I love the fact that it's just that, every episode something happens, doesn't it? So every episode, there's a line or there's kind of, something happens. It's that slow burn I really like.
Yeah, I think I watched season 1 through 5, because 5 is like kind of split into 2.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah.
right.
So I watched season 1 through 5.1 in like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
which is addicted to it. And then I had
today, yesterday, and the day before, all the time that I've got, I've literally tried to cram in a few episodes because I'm just at the bit now, season 4, I think, where Mike has started to take Jesse out on a few runs and stuff, and I think Gus is trying to split them up, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people say the first and second seasons are probably like their least favorite or whatever.
Oh man, I love him. I love the fact that he's such a normal guy. And I think it's that genesis of a character, isn't it? Like kind of I didn't know nothing about it, and I kind of see Heisenberg kind of everywhere. Just that image of the glasses and the hat, and I'm thinking, right, okay, and I'm turning on Breaking Bad, and I see this kind of geeky chemistry teacher with like loads of hair, no facial hair and whatever, and I'm thinking, well, how does that happen? How does he get there? Like, and I think that's the interesting thing for me. It's just seeing that kind of, how a person can, what can happen to put someone, in that situation. And I think, brilliant. That's why I love the first 2. I think because it's so normal,
Yeah. I love how the grey area of like whether he's going too far or not just kind of expands as it goes on.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking, because I was thinking she was going to run off with that, what's his name, Benike, the boss. Yeah, but I'm kind of looking at it, like, I'm looking at it at the time, and I'm kind of, because I'm rationalising it like, come on, you can't blame Walt for what he's doing. Like, the guy, that Benike, is basically doing the same thing, money laundering and doing whatever, or, and his rationale and, what he says to Sky is that, like, I'm doing it to kind of provide for my family and all that kind of stuff. But, like, Walt's doing the same thing. It's just that what side of the law do you kind of tread? Yeah. Is what that guy's doing worse or not as bad because it's only kind of corporate, crime, or and I found that really interesting, like kind of how can you say, I think that's why they did it, is like, how can you say that Walt's any worse because this guy's doing the same thing, how can you kind of blame Walt for doing what he's doing when this guy's doing exactly the same thing, but in a kind of more acceptable environment,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome, mate. I love it, and I know you're a big fan, so.
Yeah, you got some great stuff coming up as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you've probably heard that loads of times. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw the Ozymandias thing when it came out. Obviously wasn't watching it at the time, and that looked pretty cool. I can't wait for that. That's like right at the end, though, isn't it?
yeah, that's like the second to last episode, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've wanted to talk to you about it for a while, mate, because I want to vent to someone because Lou isn't watching it because we watch a lot together.
Yeah.
So we watch 24 and whatnot, and kind of. But I got a few that I watch on my own, Gotham, Breaking Bad, etc. But got no one to vent to, you know what I mean, and no one at work watches it, So I'm like, oh god.
We're watching Better Call Saul now. Which,
yeah, well, I haven't watched it. I've seen it advertised and I haven't watched it.
Best to wait till the end, but I mean, I'm actually surprised by how good it was. I wasn't really excited for it or anything. I thought, I'll watch it,
Yeah.
But it was, it's really good so far.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. Is it? I mean, because it's set before, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a prequel, but I mean, it jumps around a bit, so.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, not much, but yeah, it's mainly a prequel.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, some of his one-liners, and I think when him and Sky first meet, and they're kind of, he kind of brushes her off, doesn't he? And then she just like, kind of fly swats him. You know what I mean? It's like, shut up. Like, who are you talking to? I think that's pretty cool. I think the chemistry between them is pretty cool. And that's the thing about the whole thing, man. It's like I read somewhere as well that they were going to kill off Jesse like season 1, season 2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like what? Like how does that work? Like it's so. But I think that's great because it's so organic, isn't it? The way that they've kind of written it as well. Because I remember Robert Kirkman saying when he was writing The Walking Dead, there's a bit in The Walking Dead where they kill off Abraham in the comics.
Yeah.
And he said that he was writing it and it just came out. He was just like, right, do you know what? I'm going to fuck. There's no way these two guys get jumped by this many guys and they both make it out alive. So
have you read all them?
He's right in his head beforehand. He's planned it that they're going to survive, and then he just thinks, nah, it just doesn't happen. And I think that's the same thing with Breaking Bad. It's a bit organic. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Have you read those The Walking Dead comics?
Well, I started on volume 1. I read a shitload of comics, but I kind of left The Walking Dead alone because I came to it a bit late. So I watched the TV show, loved it, still love it. I think this season is fucking awesome. I think
we need to catch up. We've only watched the first episode of 5. For some reason, we just haven't carried on.
Oh man, it's awesome. Did you not think? Did you not think it was really good?
No, we did. Like I said, there's no real reason. We just kind of didn't watch the second episode, and then it just built up really. So
it's pretty cool. I don't know where they're going with it, and I won't spoil it for you. But you kind of wonder, kind of where it will go. It's like Lou said to me. She was like, "Where are they going to go with this?"
Well,
now,
I've read like up to like issue 120 or something.
Yeah, but I mean, because I've read volume 1 of The Walking Dead because, like I said, I came to it late and I didn't want to kind of jump on. So I bought the first volume, seeing what it was like. I think Tony Moore is just, outstanding. I mean, I like he did a lot of stuff with Venom as well. So if you like Tony Moore's art, it's insane in Venom. Cool. But I only really kind of the first volume, but I don't know how parallel it runs to the TV show. But it's pretty different, isn't it? Apparently.
Yeah, but I can see where they're probably going to go, like roughly, if you know what I mean. Like,
oh, well, okay.
I think
because was the whole Terminus stuff in there?
I can't remember specifically.
Oh, okay.
But like roughly,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite different, but at the same time, I mean, because they killed off some characters early in the show.
Yeah, because I
much longer. In the
I read the volume 1, and obviously at the end of the issue 6 or whatever it is, they kill off what's his name, Shane, straight away.
Right, yeah.
So I'm watching season 1 thinking, Shane's gone. You know what I mean? I won't tell my wife, but Shane's gone, And then he's like survives, and they do this big whole different thing with him. So
I tell you what is for Breaking Bad for me is just that I think Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul are just so great as their characters.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
There's so many other great characters like Gus and Mike, and when Gus first gets introduced, that scene where he's sitting down in the restaurant.
Yeah, and he just kind of blanks him, doesn't he?
Yeah, there was something weird about it. Yeah,
completely no sells it for 5 minutes, and Walt's going off on one, isn't he? Almost, and he's just like, Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, Gus is cool. Gus has kind of come into his own. He's just done that bit where he kills off what's that guy? Um, his first kind of bodyguard
Oh
uh,
yeah.
with a box
The
cutter.
box cutter episode, yeah.
Yeah, mate, that was pretty grim.
Just slowly takes off his suit,
Yeah,
puts the thing on. Just,
and you're thinking as well, like this guy's going to go through this whole scene without saying a word,
yeah.
and then he kind of does what he does, and then he's like, right, are you ready for work? 5 words, walks out. Awesome. Like the ultimate promo. Awesome. Love it. Yeah, Gus has got. I like Mike, but I don't know whether Jesse's going to make Mike weak, and you know, but I don't know whether I don't know. The thing with Mike is that he's always got that thing going on, isn't he? Like when they did the what is it when he first took Jesse out and they did the 6 runs and then they staged the kind of the fake raid or whatever, and Jesse drove off and saved the day and whatever. You always kind of think, no matter what happens, have they planned it? Is it something that's kind of is there something else? Is there an ulterior motive? But yeah, that's what makes it so good. I think that's what makes it good.
Yeah, I'm glad you're watching it, man. It's my favourite show.
Yeah,
that I've seen.
Yeah, yeah, and I keep meaning to watch Birdman as well because I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you and your Keaton kind of fascination, mate.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty awesome, isn't it? It's one shot or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's meant to look like one. Yeah.
Yeah, is it good?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think when I first saw it, I thought it was maybe a bit too wordy.
Okay.
But then it is about actors, in the theatre, and it kind of, I guess, but it stuck with me days afterwards, which doesn't usually happen that much.
Oh, awesome!
Like I was thinking about it, and yeah.
Oh, awesome! Awesome. No, I love Michael Keaton. Best Batman for me, mate, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
He's fantastic. Best Bruce Wayne, without a shadow of a doubt.
Have you heard that Adam Sandler story? He was doing, I think, Saturday Night Live or something.
Yeah.
And they all went out, and Michael Keaton was there that month or whatever. Took him out to dinner, and there was like loads of people there. And Keaton was like, "Oh, I'll pay for all this." And they're like, "No, it's fine. We'll put it on the studio. It's fine." And he just leaned over and he goes, "But I'm Batman."
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. No, I think he's great. I think I watched what was it you did? You did like a Keaton month or something.
Yeah.
And I saw what's that one where he plays like someone who's kind of quite he's like recovering alcoholic, drug addict or something like that.
Yeah, clean and sober.
Yeah. I saw your review of that and some of the clips from that, mate. I mean, Morgan Freeman as well. I'm a big Morgan Freeman mark. But I think that looked pretty cool. I've never seen him that way before, apart from Batman. I've always watched Jack Frost or kind of, with the kids, and kind of that kind of stuff, and Beetlejuice as well, where he was just completely out there. But
I think the comedians sometimes make the best dramatic actors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Jim Carrey. Like one of my favourite films of all time is Eternal Sunshine.
Mate, I just got that on Blu-ray.
Oh, awesome.
It's in my top 10 favourites of all time.
Yeah. I showed it to Lou the other day. I'm not sure she quite got it, but no, I think it's amazing. I think
that was one that stayed with me.
Yeah, just the way it's shot. Just the way it's kind of done. It's just you feel like that guy, don't you? You feel like Jim Carrey. You want to forget because it almost makes me It's painful to watch, isn't it? About that that film
Definitely.
really it's emotive for me in that way because I feel a little bit like I shouldn't be watching this because this is fucking uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to watch because this guy is just, especially the bit where he's like a kid, he's hiding on the table and stuff like that, and he's kind of going back to that womb stage, you know what I mean, or somewhere where he's comfortable because it's it's so painful. But yeah, I love it. But yeah, no, I saw Focus the other day. Have you seen that advertised? Will Smith.
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it really.
Yeah, it's not great, mate. It's not great. Yeah. I was a bit underwhelmed. It's kind of like it tries so hard to be like Ocean's 11.
Oh, right.
Doesn't quite get there, and I think Margot Robbie's cool. She should be pretty good as Harley Quinn.
Cool.
But yeah. Okay.
Right, Boyhood. You see that from last year?
I haven't, mate, and I need to see it. And I think, I really need to see it. I just need to find. I mean, I say find the time. I've had shitloads of time, but I just kind of don't know. I want to give it. The thing with me is I want to give it the respect it deserves. I don't want to kind of rush through it or watch it on a day when something else is going on. I want to kind of just sit down.
Yeah.
cool. Let's have a couple of beers. Let's let's watch it properly. You know. But yeah, no, I've heard great things about it. Really good things.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And I saw a bit of it there was a clip of it in your review of 2014 or something.
Yeah.
Where he's like, life doesn't give you bumpers or something. I love that shit. I think that's brilliant. That's such a good line.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm stealing that.